The high prevalence of organized crime in Nigeria has dire consequences for the well-being of Nigerians. Organized crime creates political instability, hinders economic activities, and diverts resources and attention away from key sectors such as education, health, and infrastructure.
Many African countries face these challenges, partly due to poor planning, inadequate management, lack of accountability, poor involvement of stakeholders, and in particular, poor implementation of or absence of robust policy framework and strategies to drive the critical sectors of the economy. This resulted in stunted economic growth, which created widespread poverty, unemployment, and illiteracy that combined with easy access to the small arms and illicit drugs to snowball into lingering insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, armed conflicts, and several other organized crimes in many parts of Africa.
Terrorism or crime has no conscience and spare no one, whether you are rich, poor, educated, or uneducated. Therefore, no matter what it takes, let us stand together and win this war against organized crime and terrorism.
Terrorism, drug trafficking, arms smuggling, financial crime, and environmental crime are not isolated issues. They are interconnected and often involve transnational networks that exploit weak governance.
We must collaborate. We must work together, government to government, government to private sector, government to civil society, government with media, to ensure that we uplift the fortunes of this great country, Nigeria.
The Nigeria Extractive Industry Trans Initiative is partnering with three public service reforms and all society organizations to bring these issues to the domain, public discourse with a view to finding a lasting solution.
The nature of corruption and how it affects our country, and how organized crime has become part of this monster that is affecting each and every one of us in our different aspects of life as well.
As we engage in this crucial work, let us reaffirm our commitment to justice, integrity, and the rule of law.
Understanding and addressing this nexus is crucial for mitigating its impact on governance, security, economic development, and humanitarian well-being in Africa.
What we have in Black Africa, and which is compounding the problem, is that you have people engaged in legal activities, but they are conducting themselves in concert with extracting benefits, material and financial benefit for themselves alone, without distributing it to the society. And this creates problems. It creates poverty, it creates marginalization, it creates inequality. And so long as you keep having these things, the drivers for conflict will always be there.
In context like this, people have also lost faith. The result, therefore, is that people are going to criminality, essentially because, again, there's no consequence for that. And the huge money they also make from that criminality, they also tend to use it to bribe state officials, thereby weakening the capacity of the state to rise and rein in criminal groups.
Let this conference serve as a milestone in our journey towards a safer and more prosperous Nigeria.
Technology today touches every aspect of our lives, from daily communications to complex government policies. It is then no surprise that organized crime syndicates too have adopted technology, exploiting it for nefarious activities and fostering an environment where criminal operations flourish at an alarming pace.
So when you just go through this website, you see yearly crime incidences by type. That's what I'm seeing here being reported. This data is up to September 2023. You can play with the data. These are the records. You go to the yearly dashboard, monthly dashboard, click on anything. And just feel free, it's open, while civil society is free for everybody. And you see all the sources there. At the back end, in case you even need more data, there are other things we are doing with this data apart from.
The level of transparency and accountability in governance processes needs to be heightened. And above all, I think we need to be more strategic in involvement of media in the fight against this thing.
In the last almost 25 years, we're no longer under the military. We are under civil rule. So it is time for us to begin the construction of security and what is national security from the point of view of civil rule and civil rule governance framework.
Let's train our people. Let's get ready. When this money comes, spend it on training staff and let them do the work they're supposed to do.
So before we be able to build very resilient institutions, we must have good leadership.
We need to begin to work to see how we can connect the silos so that information, data flows across. Probably a national database on crime, something where access is given and these institutions work together.
Why do people commit crime? The moment, let's say I was born yesterday, can you know if I'm going to be a Yahoo boy or a terrorist or a drug trafficker? Is it the environment? Is it nature or nurture? Why do people commit crime?
To be a professional hacker, you must first be trained as a hacker. What makes you professional is that you decide not to use yours for criminality, so you're called an ethical hacker. And the CIA will tell you there is no method for preventing anything right now.
What have you been doing in Africa? We have done a lot of things. EFCC, all law enforcement cannot prosecute cybercrime then in 2006 because those things are not there. Digital evidence, we now have to come up with amending our Evidence Act to capture the digital evidence. So we have gone a little bit far to try to catch up with the criminals, but criminals move at the speed of light while we move at the speed of law.
Cyber crimes affect all countries of the world. However, that of Africa is so deep because of our weak network and security governance, which particularly makes African countries to be so vulnerable.
With data analytics and AI, we can uncover a lot of insights on crimes that detect crimes in real time using tools like Casper, reports and detect, monitor, and then we can mitigate these crimes, these cyber crimes, and also use predictive models to predict possibility of crimes in future and handle them.
One of the biggest problems we have in technology today is overconfidence on the side of the tech experts and also the users. The tech expert seems to think that his technology is impregnable, and that's what I call the Enigma machine saga.
In cybercrime today is not a question of if, but when. So it will definitely happen, but when will it happen? So it is if it happens, how are we prepared for it?
There are quite a number of people that we know working in communities that are doing issues, that are partaking in issues of cybercrime, but not knowing that that is what they are doing.
Organized crime in Nigeria has become much more sophisticated, more violent, more diversified over these last 2 decades. And that, I think, pulls into question whether the response that we're mounting as a country, and of course also the international partners that are supposed to work with Nigeria in tackling this transnational phenomenon after all.
Financial crimes as enablers of organized crimes. What's an organized crime?
Our main role is to ensure that we receive information that we're able to analyze, to disseminate to law enforcement and other competent authorities so as to fight money laundering and terrorism financing.
The only way we can, save our country from the arm of these people is if we can look at our law that take away the immunity from the political class, who are now enstranging every one of us.
Financial crimes literally enables organized crimes because these organized crime groups use financial crime activities to be able to escape the radar of the government, to escape accountability and have access to their illicit funds. I think our law is the enabler, and we need to simplify our law that will be very, very less ambiguous and less complex for even a GSS3 student could literally understand and articulate our law properly.
Building the capacity of all institutions, judiciary in particular, is very key. Those who are going to adjudicate this case.
Our database is as good as nothing. With data alone, crime, this issue of terrorism and all that can be brought to the barest minimum.
If we partner with the Interpol, with the resources we have and the databases, in the course of the presentation by the Prof, he made mention about 17 major crime areas. I can tell you in confidence that all these crime areas, ranging from human trafficking, drugs, cybercrime, piracy, works of art, anything you know, the database is there in the Interpol.